right? It's really, really important because when you take the test, you're not going to have that side of the pink paper. You'll have the back, but not the front. Yeah. So if you want note cards, I am more than happy to supply them for you because you need to start memorizing those 7 now so that when March 18th comes, you can quickly recognize your identities. So what is 1 minus sine squared equal to? And then what is cosecant squared x minus 1 equal to? Cotangent. Good. So what I have is a cosine squared divided by a cotangent squared. This is bell work, so you do not have this question, by the way. So you might want to write it down quickly. All right, cotangent. How can you rewrite cotangent? Cosine over sine. Good. So that means I have cosine squared x divided by cosine squared over sine squared. And if you want to, if this makes you happy, you can always put a 1 under anything that doesn't have a denominator. That's perfectly fine. So I'm dividing 2 fractions. And how do we divide fractions? Keep, change, flip. So let's do that. Times. Okay, so now we're multiplying fractions. So what happens with does something cancel? Yeah, good. So I'm left with just what? And that is your final answer. But notice that it all started with knowing the identities. If you didn't know your identities, you'd be stuck. You wouldn't even you'd just be done. -5 points right off the top. So again, I know I keep saying it's like a broken record. You have to learn those identities because that side is not given to you. Only the back side, the properties on the back of the paper, that I'm going to make copies and include in your test, but the front side is not. Okay. Now feel free to cross out what's at the very bottom where it says, I think it says even and odd and co-functions. You can cross that out. We don't need those 2 at the bottom. Because it's squared, yeah. So we don't need those 2 at the bottom. The only thing you really need to focus on is the very top, which you probably already know all of those. The Pythagorean identity and the variations. That's what you need to know.
What did you say we crossed out?
At the bottom, those bottom 2. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yesterday, I'll give you a minute to copy down the steps. Yesterday, we started this road of simplifying, and today we're going to start with verifying. The thing about verifying is that we know the destination that we're trying to get to. So I recommend that you start by rewriting all the terms in terms of sine and cosine, and we only work with the left side. But we know that we're going to eventually we're going to stop here. We just have to show how. We have to show the directions. How does cosecant times tangent turn into secant? But we know we're trying to get to secant. That's why verifying might be easier than simplifying, because in simplifying, you don't know where you're trying to get to. You just keep making moves until you run out of gas. But for verifying, I know that my destination is secant. And I just have to show the directions on how to get there. Okay, so we're going to start by taking the cosecant and rewriting that in terms of sine and cosine. What is cosecant? How can you rewrite that? 1 over what? 1 over sine. So cosecant is 1 over sine. And then we also have tangent. Excuse me. What's tangent? This is actually a pretty easy. This is the easiest verifying we can ever do. Because what is going to happen here? Now that I changed it to sine and cosine, what do you notice? What's going to cancel out? So that's going to leave me with 1 over cosine. And is 1 over cosine equal to secant? Because if you have something downstairs, remember you can move it upstairs and it changes to the sister. So this is actually equal to secant. The thing is, when you do it, okay, so the thing about verifying is you know the answer, but you still have to show me all the steps on how to get to the answer. So if your directions are incomplete, you do not get full credit. All right, let's copy down the next one. And then we're going to figure out how is a tangent plus a cotangent equal to a secant times a cosecant. So we're going to start by rewriting tangent and cotangent in terms of sine and cosine. So what is tangent equal to? So I'm going to write that as sine over cosine plus, and what's cotangent? Cosine over sine. But now we're adding fractions. And what do we know about adding fractions? You have to have what? A common denominator. So, and I always like to give examples with numbers, and you do not need to write this down. If I were taking 2/3 plus 3/2, I would have to multiply this one top and bottom by 2 and this fraction top and bottom by 3. It's the same thing, except with trig. I'm multiplying this fraction top and bottom by sine. This fraction top and bottom by cosine. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes. I recommend you use a pencil. And I want you to try to see if you can get to the end on your own. Because we're pretty much there. And I'm going to give you a hint. There will be an identity. One of those lucky 7. You're going to have to use it. So take a couple minutes and just kind of work through it and we'll see. Keep in mind, we're going to work with this for 5 days. So this is only day 2. We're doing this Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. So I know in 5th period, we started to see a light bulb going off. We're like, oh, okay. And then every single day, you'll become more and more confident. But I cannot stress enough, you have to know those 7 identities. You have to know them. Just thumbs up if you think you made it there. Just curious. If you made it to a secant, cosecant. I got 2 people so far. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay. That's not bad. Because again, this is just the second day. Literally just day 2. So I don't expect many people to be like flying right now. Okay, so let's go across the top. To get our common denominator, we took sine times sine. What is sine times sine? Sine squared. Bring down the addition sign. Here I have cosine times cosine, which is a cosine squared. And that's all over my common denominator, which is sine cosine. We only have to write that one time. We don't have to write it twice. Because when you add a fraction, you don't change your denominator. Your denominator is just going to be sine cosine. Okay, so here we are with that identity. That's like the big joker. That's like where all the identities come from, is that. So we don't know anything. We should immediately know that sine squared plus cosine squared is going to give us what? 1. So now I have 1 over sine cosine. And remember what I said. If you're downstairs and you move upstairs, you become the sister. So sine is downstairs, and if I move her upstairs, she becomes a cosecant. Cosine is downstairs, and if I move her upstairs, that becomes a secant. So we have proven that it does equal secant times cosecant. So you're going to have a lot of time to practice. Now Miss K is going to do one more example with you. And then you'll have the rest of the class period to practice. But before we get there, yes, David?
So like the final answer was just, are you writing 1 over whatever?
So this is our final answer.
Okay.
Because our final answer has to match where we're trying to get to. We have to show that it equals that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So easy to have internet.
Oh my gosh. I know. Okay. Give you a second. Write it on down. We all good?
Did we already give BB back those tests?
Yeah. When he was coming in and bringing
Okay.
whatever.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So the first thing I do, Miss Bryant kind of did too, but I'm just going to go ahead and like highlight or box or almost cross out this side so I know not to touch it. Because sometimes, especially with like what we were doing in the last unit, we were doing a lot of moving from side to side. We don't want to do that here. So this is just our extra reminder. This is our end goal, but we're going to ignore her for a little bit. But first things first, we're adding fractions. So what do we do? Common denominator. So what am I going to multiply the first fraction by? This one's going to be sine x, top and bottom. So now take a second. I'm going to hold the presentation and you go ahead and multiply this out for yourself. Oh. Hopefully you did not follow my lead. What should I have written on the second fraction? Mm-hmm. Hopefully you guys did that. The second fraction you should be multiplying by 1 plus cosine x, not sine x. That'll make it a lot easier for you. Okay. Does someone want to be brave? Okay, Anna, what does your numerator look like?
Sine x squared plus 1 plus cosine x squared. No.
Not quite.
What did I do?
Oh, no. It is, yeah. Yep.
And then the denominator is 1 plus cosine x times sine x. Yes.
Yeah. So for me, I just wrote this like this because oh, not squared.
Oh, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing.
Yeah. So this is what I ended up with. Now, I'm going to say, me personally, I want to see how far we can get without touching the denominator. So, although you could easily distribute the sign into it, there might come a time later where it makes more sense to just pull the sign out, especially considering this is where we have to use like critical thinking. You know, it's like really hard. But if we already have a sign in the bottom and we're trying to get a cosecant, 1 over sine is a cosecant. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to want that sign down there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep it there. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to move on to the next step. Because the next step, with the sine squared x, I don't know that there's anything I can do with it for now because there's a more important step for us to do. And that's expand this.
Yeah.
I think you should expand your binomials there. So do that as the next step, and I'm going to come around and see. Expand this. Like, multiply them out.
2 plus cosine is. So multiply those
So
two by
would
each other,
you
right?
do?
Yeah.
So it would end up being plus 2 plus cosine x squared, right?
This entire thing is squared. That's why I wrote it like that. Yep.
How is not this?
And I think we still left our work
It
on the
is
board
close, but you are.
on how to.
Why are you?
make a
I did a box. I made a box with this stuff right here.
Yeah, you did a couple steps in one, but you have a cos-x and a cos-x. But the first thing you can do is just literally put them right next to each other. So we're like 1 step behind you right
No,
now.
I'm saying though, is this correct?
No,
Why is it wrong?
you have a 1 cos-x and a 1 cos-x.
Oh, so it becomes 2 cosine?
Yeah.
So I know that's right.
That was would be a variation. That's not a variation. I don't know, you probably already said it, but
Yeah.
on the back board, you can see where we already multiplied 1 plus cosine times 1 plus cosine.
So-
And it's still in there, we didn't erase it.
So when you start the box, do you put the numbers inside the box or on the outside?
Because we currently have it written like this, you write it on the outside and then go towards the inside. Okay. So box method back there shows us that we get a 1 plus 2 cosine x plus cosecant cosine squared x. So I'm just going to write everything in green that I didn't change. I didn't touch this. Wrong. Those are all the things I didn't touch. What I did touch was this expansion. So we ended up with a 1 plus 2 cosine x plus cosine squared x. Does anyone have Judge Judy's bells going off? Huh?
I got advanced, but how did the one still stay?
Because
Because it's
1 times.
Oh.
Yeah. So, anyone's bells? Anyone have bells?
Yep.
Okay, David. What? For what reason?
Like, just because, like, it's right or wrong. I mean, not wrong, but like, you understand.
Because now we'll cancel, now the 1 plus cosine x and the 1 plus cosine x will cancel out, right?
What? Ooh.
Wait.
Anna.
I wasn't.
No, I know. You're getting a little ahead on your algebra. You cannot do that.
Are we multiplying this? Like, we're multiplying this together?
Cancel
We
has to
haven't
be
got
the
there yet.
exact.
Right now, we're looking at the top.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about.
This is what I
The
see.
1 plus cosine, yes, they're being multiplied.
They're not currently next to each other. But look at that.
Mine are.
So
I did not.
We have the identity right there.
But I didn't see it because they're not right next to each other.
Yeah, addition, you can, as long as it's all still adding to equal something, you can move it anywhere you want.
So we're just gonna be.
I would have put the cosine squared x in the front because it's squared.
Well, yeah, when you rewrite it, you can do that, but the way that we had it written, this is how it ended up. So we're going to
I'm gonna write it.
put a big fat 1. Big fat 1. And then everything we're holding that we're not changing,
Yeah. Now
I'm doing in green.
I think why the way you wrote it in my head, I immediately wanted to
Flip it. Yeah. Right now, is the top completely done being dealt with?
No.
No. What do we have to do first?
Add the one.
Add the 1. So we got a 2, and then we still haven't touched the 2 cosine x or anything in the denominator. Is the top done yet?
No.
Why not?
what's that?
That's still to add.
Great.
Okay.
They both have a 2 in common. Look at that. Boom. Boom. And then this is going to be like the aha, your puzzles are finally like all aligning. It's going to be a crazy moment. You're going to pull out this 2. And then what do you get left with? A 1 plus cosine x. Oh my God. Everything is aligning.
Wait, so what about the?
Wait, what? Wait.
Two.
Wait, she hasn't wrote the bottom down yet. She's about to write it down.
I mean on the top.
On the top, if you pull out a 2, you can leave a 1 because 2 times 1 is 2.
Yeah.
You can check yourself. Then when you multiply a 2 back in, you get 2 cosine x.
So you keep. Wait. So I'm talking about the 2 cosine x. Where does the 2 go in that cosine x? You take that 2 out.
Yeah,
Oh. Okay.
that's a Gray's common factor.
Because 2 over 1.
Yeah. And we still haven't done anything with the bottom. But, and they just cancel.
Oh. Okay.
Bound. Because now we're multiplying. That is the important thing here. This is one entire unit that we're multiplying. There's no addition other than what's in the parentheses, but the parentheses is like 1 unit. So now, dun, 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 remember how we said we were looking for a sign in the bottom?
Yeah.
She's still there. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
So now, perfect. Our two sides are equal, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. You have to go one more step and pull the sister up from the basement.
Oh, I see what we're gonna do.
And then the two that was up there come back.
The 2 just stays there. You keep her in the top,
Yeah.
and you move the sister up.
Is it gonna be really common for us to get problems that are this long?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jaden did say yesterday, he was like, all that for a silly little answer? Yes, all that. Okay, that's all we have to do today, though. So work on your homework.
You can stop the